Greetings. This is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines. Today is Tuesday, and we are going to speak with the Honorable Representative Tyrone Brooks. Greetings. This is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Ryan, standing in front of the new overpass here in Valdosta, Georgia. I just came from Brooks County, where Lula Smart wanted to quit 10+2 after over 4 years, finally get to have her third trial for the same alleged offenses. And it seems as if, though, the South Georgia news media, the state of Georgia news media, and the media in the United States of America are not concerned about voting rights here in the United States of America. This is a prime case for the Democratic Party, Republican Party, Green Party, and all other parties to look into the transcripts and see what can happen when blacks vote, and see what people are doing to try to circumvent the power of the black vote. Not to mention what they're doing to the newly elected black mayors here in the state of Georgia. And once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Ryan, doing what we do because it must be done. Hear ye. Let's go down to Representative Tyrone Brooks, Dr. Nancy Dennett, and others.
How can you do me wrong when I'm doing you right, baby? When I'm doing you right, yeah. I bought you a car, house, and a diamond ring, and you're acting like I haven't done a thing. I wanna know how can you do me wrong when I'm doing you right? Tell me, baby, I wanna know how.
This is a miscarriage of justice in the state of Georgia that cannot be overlooked. The Secretary of State and the Governor have made it very purposeful that they will send the message that if you are African American and if you run for office, and if you honestly win the election, you will be punished. The Governor, the Secretary of State are trying to intimidate and suppress the African American vote, since they know if the 400,000 registered African Americans in the state of Georgia that did not vote in the last election cycle come out and exercise a right that people have died for, the right to vote. If the African American community and all people of color exercise their constitutional right to vote, it will mean the demise of this white privileged aristocracy here in Georgia. That is not American. That is not worthy of the state of Georgia. This prosecution is a travesty. The prosecutors, the Secretary of State, the Governor should be called out on what they have done to these women and called to publicly apologize for the 4 years that they have put them under this scrutiny and this character assassination. So that's how I feel about today.
Thank you very much. This is the Ghetto Free Press, just keeping it real. Once again, I want to appreciate you. You are a prime example, in my most humble opinion. While we cannot hate one another because of the skin color, it's not about skin color. It's about what is right and wrong. I think perhaps that Jesus put it best, and I put it in my own words: want for your neighbor that which you want, and have for yourself and your own children. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhines, and we are still at the Brooks County Courthouse. And as you can see, this is a Southern Christian Leadership Conference van from Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, Tyrone Brooks, Clyde Jackson, I think it is, they are here because they are concerned about what is happening in the case of Lula Smart, one of the Quitman 10+2 that after 4 years are finally getting their day in court. Well, today, it is obvious. Once again, we have witness after witness talk about the intimidation of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation investigators. And so we must ask a question. How could it be that the voters could say they gave one piece of information to the G.B.R., but when the G.B.R. wrote it down on their questionnaire, it was different from what they requested? You had better look out, because somebody is trying to circumvent the black voting process in the state of Georgia and perhaps around the nation. Over and over again, these witnesses gave the same testimony. They asked, did you say Lula Smart did this or Lula Smart did that? And it just don't measure up. Once again, we are going to continue to report what Channel 6, Channel 10, Channel 7 or 27, what the Quitman Free Press and the Valdosta Daily Times will not report. We are going to report it because we believe in this type of government, the government for which I served 21 years to protect. And it seemed like there is something that just don't smell right with this court case with Lula Smart. Once again, we want to thank Representative Tyrone Brooks for bringing the van with people from Atlanta to bear witness that voting rights are important here in Brooks County, the state of Georgia, and the United States of America. We must acknowledge that too many black people have suffered, bled, and died for our vote to be circumvented, or for some of the most outstanding citizens in Brooks County to be brought up on charges from the District Attorney David Miller, his assistant Brad Shealy, the governor of the state of Georgia, Nathan Deal, the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, along with the G.B.R. investigators. Now you may ask me, why am I saying this? Because I have a right to say it under our form of government. Once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press. George Boston Rhines doing what I do because it must be done. Peace. This is the Ghetto Free Press, and once again, we are in Brooks County, and of course, this is Representative Tyrone Brooks. You can't find a better pioneer for civil and human rights than Representative Tyrone Brooks. We've been to Moore's Ford Bridge. I mean, we walked the street to Slab Town here. You got all that footage. We do that because we love you. My beautiful brother, what brings you into Quitman? Welcome, my beautiful brother. Welcome. Yes, sir. Tell us what you did by coming here today. What did you do by coming, and what do you hope for the Quitman 10+2 after we saw what happened in the courtroom today?
We wanted to reinforce the fact that the Georgia Association of Black Elected Officials, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, NAACP, and all of our partners, that we are still supporting the Quitman 10+2, and we're still fighting against voter suppression and voter intimidation. we wanted the county to know, and this whole region to know, that in spite of the trials, particularly Lula Smart's trial, this is the third time that they've tried to convict Lula Smart. They will not get her this time. They tried twice before. And they're trying to destroy Dr. Nancy Dennard and Diane Thomas and Lyndon Troutman and all of the elected officials here who are African Americans. So we wanted to come back today and spend the whole day sitting in the courtroom and letting everyone see us, know that we are still firmly committed to making sure that the Quitman 10+2 are not destroyed, are not legally lynched, are not crucified. We want people to know that this is happening in Quitman, but it's happening around America. And so we are still here today reinforcing the fact that we came here in 2011. We're still here. We're going to stay here. We're going to lock down and we're going to support these sisters and brothers. And we're going to help make sure that this does not continue across Georgia, across the Southeast region, and across the USA, because this is a national problem. Voter suppression, voter intimidation, all throughout America is very prevalent. And that's why we're here today in Quitman, Georgia, Brooks County.
Reverend Brooks, this is the 5th day of this trial, and there has been no news media, no television, no radio, no newspaper. Nobody have been to this court hearing. I'm the only somebody there. And my question to you is there a possibility that this problem is bigger than the Quitman 10 and bigger than just Brooks County? Maybe there's a certain effort, because I can't understand why this is so big. It seems like some of the major news media, because it's dealing with voter suppression.
Absolutely. This is what I call a whiteout. This is a classic whiteout where the white control media in this region, particularly in this region, have decided they're not going to cover this because they know that Brooks County Quitman 10+2 will prevail again. So the media in this region, particularly Quitman, Valdosta, this whole region, they decided that if there's any positive news, we won't show it. If there's any negative news, we will show it, write about it, and broadcast it, and do whatever we can to disseminate anything negative about these brothers and sisters. So you know the media, you know who controls the media. The corporate interests of this country control the media, so they've decided, we know Attorney King is going to win again, as he has twice already, so therefore we're not going to cover it. We're going to white it out. But thank God you're here, because you are part of the media. You have your own media network, and you can disseminate the same information out there, George, as you always do. So we're counting on you to get it out there. We're going to do the best we can from G.B.R and SCLC and the NAACP to disseminate the news also. That's why we were taking so many photographs that the Brooks County Board of Education signed a minute ago. But we're going to do our best to educate the public that we're still locked into Brooks County Quitman. I'll be meeting with Dr. Joe Lyra this week, and I'm going to give him a report, give him the information that you've given me to take to him, and hopefully we can sit down and let you interview him soon. He's 93 years old,
yes, sir.
But we want you to sit down with Dr. Lyra, whom we brought here,
yes, sir,
February of 2012 for the G.B.R Winter Conference. We had to use 2 churches, and we marched 1,000 people on the courthouse here in Quitman, Brooks County. So I just want everybody who's watching you and listening to you and reading your blogs and watching your website to know that we are as committed today as we were when we first came here in May of 2011. Representative David Lucas, Senator Robert Brown, Helen Butler, Emily Davis, and I came in here first, and we locked down. We made a commitment, and that's why we brought Dr. Lyra here in 2012. We brought Senator Charles Steele here in 2013. We also brought the chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, my sister, Reverend Representative D. Duncan Hagel. So we want everybody to know that we are still as firmly locked in fighting voter suppression and voter intimidation in this county and others as we've ever been before.
Tyrone, I want to thank you for everything you've done. I want to let you know about this. I was on Facebook the other night, and I saw something on Facebook, and I want all the world to hear me as I make this statement. The Reverend Jesse Jackson was in a McDonald's parking lot on the passenger side, and somebody took their camera, walked up to Jesse and told Jesse, "We don't want you in St. Louis." Said that you are not a leader. You are not wanted here. Are you a part of the march? Jesse said, "I've been to the Browns family tonight, last night." And so I just want to say, and you can comment on it, because it hurt me so bad, I almost brought tears in my eyes. The person that was talking and criticizing Jesse, I doubt that they even measure up to the little dash from the time that they born to the time that they die. And so I just want to say that, Jesse, run, run, run. You've stood your ground, my beautiful brother. And don't you feel bad about that. I watched Jesse's face as that brother. I know it hurt him, but yet Jesse maintained his composure.
He did.
Regardless of what people want to say about our civil rights leaders, We must lift them up regardless. We already have enough fighting, intermingling on the negative side, but I'm for the positive aspect. If you find a flea that will pop one time in your direction, even if he bites you, at least he'll let you know you're alive, so you ought to thank that flea. Close us out, my brother.
Well, I want to thank you for pointing out what happened to Jesse in Missouri. It is not by accident that Jesse Jackson continues to work on our behalf. He's coming under the same attacks that I saw Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. come under at the age of 39. Jesse and I were at the SCLC National Convention in Birmingham, Alabama 2 weeks ago, and while we were at the convention with Dick Gregory and other Senator Steele and Dr. Bernard Lafayette, people were calling Jesse from St. Louis and Ferguson asking him to come in. And Jesse told us in Birmingham, he said, when I leave Birmingham, he and I had to be in Columbus, Georgia after we wrapped up the convention Thursday 2 weeks ago for Reverend William Howe's homegoing. But Jesse said, listen, they keep calling me, they keep texting me, they're emailing me. And he said, I must go. I said, Jesse, you go. I'm going to stay here. But because Ferguson is everywhere. I mean, I consider Quitman Ferguson. I consider Atlanta Ferguson. So no matter where I consider Monroe Ferguson. But it doesn't surprise me, Brother George, that people would insult Jesse Jackson in spite of all of the contributions, all that he's done throughout his life to destroy Jim Crow racism and uplift our communities across America. If it wasn't for Jesse Jackson running for president twice, Barack Obama wouldn't be in the White House today.
Whoop,
if it wasn't for Shirley Chisholm running in 72, Jesse wouldn't have had a chance to run in 84 and 88. If it wasn't for Jesse Jackson running in 84 and 88, Al Sharpton wouldn't have ran in 2004. So we have to understand the transition and who built these bricks and walls and steps to allow us to climb up. Jesse Jackson is my hero. He's my big brother. I love him, and I hope he will not allow that derogatory insult and slur to affect him anyway. I want Jesse to just keep on working. He's still young. He's only 72. Joe Lowry's 93. He's still going. Dr. Lowry's 93. He's still going. And Miss Amelia Boynton will be 109 soon. I got to go visit her over in Montgomery. She's still going. So, George, all I can say is we cannot allow those negative forces around us in our midst to get us off track. We're going to stay on track because we still have a lot of work to do.
I said I want you to close out. I guess this is why we need to spend more time together. Because I want you to tell us very briefly, where are you going with Moore's Ford Bridge? Because we can't forget that, because you have dedicated so much of your time to that. What's the next movement that you all are working on there? And we'll close this out.
That's a good question and a good way to close it out. At the SCLC National Convention, the Moore's Ford Bridge Movement, we call it the Moore's Ford Bridge Movement 365. We were the #1 item on the SCLC National Convention agenda in Birmingham, Alabama 2 weeks ago. After coming out of the convention, the president and the chairman of the board and all of us agreed that our priorities going forward will be finding a way for those descendants of the Malcolms and Dorsey's who were lynched on the bridge, including the young soldier who was lynched in 1981, Lynn McKinley Jackson, that we can find a way for their relatives and their survivors to bring wrongful death lawsuits against those who are still living, who were involved in their murders, but also the estates of those involved who have passed on. That's the first thing. The other thing we're going to continue to do is demand congressional hearings. We want congressional hearings in the House and the Senate in Washington, D.C. We want the Moore's Ford case before Congress so that we can bring all of these players, all of these witnesses, all of these activists, all of the lawyers, all of the relatives who are still living. The other thing we want to do is make sure that we construct a Moore's Ford Bridge Museum Educational Learning Center. We're working on that. We're trying to find the resources. We're looking at buildings in Monroe. The Moore's Ford movement is picking up steam, and more white people are now coming forward, and we're interviewing them. We have a team of journalists out of Atlanta who go over there every week to interview people who are now coming forward saying we want to get it off our chest, off of our consciousness, off of our shoulders, because we want the world to know that our own families were involved in the Moore's Ford massacre. So the Moore's Ford movement continues. We're taking it to another level, and we just hope and pray that as we approach April 4th, which is a Saturday, April 4th, 2015, we can secure the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to come and lead the march. And then hopefully in July 25th, we can get my brother, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton, to come and be a part of the reenactment in July 25th. That's our plan going forward for 2015.
Once again, thank you so much. Thank you for having you in Brooks County. I remember when you first came, walked the streets of Slab. You made me feel so proud because it seemed like people was not coming out with the equipment in. But you came, Senator Brown, David Lucas, his wife, and it just was a beautiful thing. Look here, man. Safe trip back to Atlanta. Peace be unto you, my beautiful brother. And God bless you, my brother.
Thank you for all that you do to help us, too.
Thank you, man. Peace.
Thank you.
Going to the Morrisford Bridge, about 5 minutes.
How far is it, Tyrone?
Morrisford Bridge from here is about 10 miles. We will park at the historic marker and walk 2 miles to the bridge.
2 whole miles?
2 miles. Please board your vehicles now. We are ready to go to the Morrisford.
Greetings, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and once again, we are doing what many news media here in South Georgia will not do. You have people here that's concerned about what happened yesterday. News media from Monroe and all around Georgia should be here to witness this event. But since they are not here, as a retired military veteran that took an oath to defend this country against both foreign and domestic enemies, we are going to continue to exercise our rights under our form of government, because too many of our sons and daughters have died for these freedoms. Now, once again, in Meigs, Georgia, the black mayor, what's happening to her? In Dawson, Georgia, the black mayor, what happened to him? Shot 6 times. Also, Davisboro, Georgia, a black mayor. Also, it's just a lot more. I'm not going to call them all. But where is the Georgia Attorney General? Where is Georgia Governor Nathan Deal with all of this that is happening? Now we are getting ready for a motorcade. We're going to be motorcading to Morrisford Bridge. I'm told it's 10 miles away. Then we're going to have a 2-mile walk to actually go to that historic site. Once again, I'm George Boston Rhines, and we want you to know, because you have a right to know. You're going to hear in this video, State President, former President Edward DuBois, talk about statement, video from people that could shed light on what happened here at Morrisford Bridge. And yet, nobody's acting upon it. Not even Eric Holder of the United States Justice Department. We have been told that this has been sent to the Justice Department, but nothing happened. Much like what we sent to the not Eric Holder, but to the Justice Department concerning the death of Willie James Williams, concerning Equipment 10+2 in Brooks County, Georgia. The same Justice Department that knows that I'm under a 300-day criminal trespass warning without justification or notification. Just like the Kendrick Johnson death. So it seems as if though the Justice Department does not want justice for us. It does not take this long for the Justice Department to render justice. And it is indeed time for us to make a difference. If we in the state of Georgia are not going to stand up for what is right in God's world, and if America is not going to stand and act upon the laws that she passed, then she needs to take down her flag and let the people know that we are not concerned about freedom of the press, freedom of religion, etc., etc., etc. And the rest of what we receive in civics lesson. Once again, I'm George Boston Rhines, and we want you to know, because you have a right to know, under our form of government. We want to thank the Walton County Sheriff's Department for doing what they do, and that is protecting the public. We want to thank them. And once again, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I am George Boston Rhines. There should be news media outlets all over this. All the news media here in this county should be here. South Georgia, CNN, ABC, MSNBC, Al Sharpton, 60 Minutes, 48 Hours, Eric Holder. What is wrong with you, man? We are tired of this. Are you trying to force the black man to pick up guns and start shooting other people like they've been shooting us? Eric Holder, the Justice Department.
Yes, this is the motorcade that is going to Morrisford Bridge. And I want to thank the Walton County Sheriff's Department for escorting this motorcade to that location. I tell you that in times like these, I can only wonder, why is it that the Department of Justice under Eric Holder, and I know I'm being blunt, but there come a time when we must be blunt. It is time now for somebody to step up. With all these black mayors, we can put it all together, these black mayors here in Georgia, that are catching pure hell from the powers that be and the old system. Some even call it the Jim Crow leftovers. And I don't know what to say except for I pray for the day when America live up to its creed under our form of government. We're down here at Moore's Ford Bridge, and like the May Returner lynching, this is a historic marker that is placed where these black African Americans suffered, just like many others around the nation. As Rosewood, as the week of terror in Brooks and Miles County, this is what it is. And once again, it says 2.4 miles east at Moore's Ford Bridge on the Appalachian River. 4 African Americans, George and Mae Murray Dorsey, and Roger and Dorothy Dorsey Malcolm, reportedly 7 months pregnant, just like Mary Turner when they cut the baby from her womb, were brutally beaten and shot by an unmasked mob on the afternoon of July 25th, 1946. The lynching followed an argument between Roger Malcolm and a local white farmer. These unsolved murders played a crucial role in both President Truman's commitment to civil rights legislation and the ensuring modern civil rights movement. In 1998, a biracial memorial service honoring the victims was held at Moore's Ford Bridge March, led by the SCLC and Tyrone Brooks. This is a yearly event, and this was the next level that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was going to take. We was going to take, and what we are doing is that we are recording to do what should have been done years ago. We want to thank the Walton County Sheriff Department for doing what the citizens would appreciate in times like this. Representative Tyrone Brooks, why is this so important today to do this march?
It's important for 2 reasons. First of all, we are commemorating the 46th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as we continue to seek justice and the lynchings at the Moore's Ford Bridge. The second reason is we have the family of Kendrick Johnson, who was murdered January 11th of last year, and we're still seeking justice in the death of Kendrick. And we have his family here today, who was with us last year, but they are the leaders this year. We want them to lead it, and we want them to be connected to the lynchings at the Moore's Ford Bridge and Dr. King's legacy. And we want them to just speak today and share with the public, their feelings on this momentous occasion as we remember Dr. King and as they remember their son. We just think it's important for all of us to be linked together in this struggle for justice. And I think Dr. King would want us to do this today on the weekend in which he was assassinated.
What was it on that video that you wanted to share with me and the citizens that are here today?
Well, for the first time, we actually have one of the citizens of Walton County. People have long tried to get us to believe that the murderers of the Malcolms and the Dorseys, everyone involved were all dead, and that we were out here marching and talking and walking for a lost cause. Well, this gentleman has refuted all of this. This gentleman, who is a relative of even one of the people he named, has given enough names that the Justice Department and all those who are freedom lovers would investigate. And we believe if they investigate these people he's calling out, we'll find the murderers. Tyrone made a good point some time ago that if they can go find the Jews, then, the Nazis who killed the Jews, they can find them right here in the United States. Surely they can find the murderers of the Malcolms and the Dorseys who are right here in this county.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you so much again. How you doing, brother? What are you out here today for?
I'm out here for the march with Tyrone Brooks and for the finding out the facts about the Moors. The Moors, an investigation about find out that they can bring it to all.
Yes, sir.
In 2014, while we got the Attorney General, we can bring the troops down and find out what's happening about it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
This is a stopover. It's much like the trip when the marches to Selma. They stopped and they ate or drank water and talked. gave a few speeches in between on the way. And so that's kind of what we see here now. And so we're doing this because you have a right to know as they journey to Moore's Ford Bridge. And this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm George Foster Ryan, just doing what we do because it must be done.
So if you could start, but tell me your name and where you're from, and just saying that we have permission to record this.
Okay. Name Wayne Watson. I'm from Monroe, Georgia. I left here in 78. I come back in 93.
Okay.
And y'all got permission to record.
So if you could just tell me the one by one the names of the people that you know are still alive, their approximate age, and what you know about their involvement on the bridge in 1946 with the lynching on the Moore's Ford Bridge.
Okay, Charlie Peppers, that's my uncle, and he ought to be about 85 or 86. He was the youngest one in the family. And all through my life, all I heard them talk about the Moore's Ford and the lynching and stuff, and I lived around it in Campton. And I come back in 93, I started hanging around and I said, I'm going to see what I can do about all this. And every day I made documents. I wrote it down, and he talked about how the woman up there, he was laughing. He said, well, the people thought the woman was pregnant by a black man. So her husband was in the military, and she was pregnant by a white man. And he said, Wayne, they cut the baby out, washed the baby off in the creek, and put it up for adoption in Atlanta. I said, no, they didn't either. He said, yes, they did. So you don't call me a blank liar unless you was there like I was. Who was the white man that she was reportedly had the affair with, whose baby she had? Hester. It was Hester. He told me, I'll get the main. What's Hester's first name? I think it's Barry. Okay. But Lord. And he's from Hestertown, is that right? Right. Yes. And who else is still living besides Mr. Pepper? You've got a number of them. I've got another uncle named Earl Royster. He's a member of the Klan. You got the members. And Mr. Royster, and that's R-O-Y-S-T-E-R? Yes, sir. Earl Royster, you said he's a member of the Klan, and he was also on the bridge that night? Right, because he's about the same age as my uncle, Charlie. Okay. He's my uncle, too. You got a lot of them back in 93 when I come here. You had a bunch of them still alive, and everything like John F. Moore, Jack Smith, Breedlove, Iron Breedlove. These men used to talk about it? They was in a meeting. I remember them years ago when people talked about who's all the members and everything. What kind of meeting? They had a KKK meeting at the courthouse. A lot of people don't understand. When that torch got lit, the KKK lit it. But they end up putting that other stuff on it to cover up for what they done. They had a election where you join a membership drive and everything. And back then, I remember Franklin Thornton, Sorrells, Ronnie Sorrell, all of them there. I remember the voices because it's in my head and everything. Neil Jackson, Harry Arnold, Sr. There's a Jimmy Davis live over there in Madison. He's still alive. He runs a pawn shop. and he got a patch over his eye.
His name is Jimmy Madison?
Davis. He works at Madison.
Okay, Jimmy Davis.
Right.
The town of Madison.
He works at the pawn shop.
And he works at a pawn shop. Do you know the name of the pawn shop?
It's right there like going toward Edenton, Everton. It's on the left back in the shopping center.
All right, which road is that shopping center on?
I don't know what the name of that highway. I didn't know directions when I go
got you.
there.
You said that he has a patch over his
Is that
eye?
441? It's not Highway 441?
You go to the back to I-20.
Okay.
Highway 441 runs from Madison to Edenton.
You know where you go to Madison, you take a right, and then you go out, you stay on that road that go to the hospital, right? You bear off to your left, right there. You go about a half
That's
a mile.
278.
278, right. And
Yeah,
there's
that's
a,
Highway 278.
there's a tire center right there on your left, and then there's a pawn shop right down on your left.
That's Highway 278.
And there's a man there with a patch over his eye named Jimmy Davis.
Right,
And he was on that bridge as well.
yes.
Who else?
I know them two was there because those one my uncle talked about. He always talked about Earl Royster, and when I was a kid, they always talked about the lynch and that thing. But those are one alive that I know the name for sure.
Okay.
All right, now the one that was dead years ago, it was a James McIntyre. He was a member of the KKK. He was involved in hanging the boy over there, Cover Bridge. There was a tree out there, he hung him out there and everything. But he's dead. Junior Parker, though, is still alive. He's a member of the KKK. His daddy is dead and everything, but he's a member.
And Mr. Parker, was he on the bridge as well?
Well, nobody said it, but he's a member of the KKK.
How old is he?
He's probably about 83. He's about the same age as my uncle and that thing. And you got they got a book out there that Brooks man supposedly wrote, and that thing he talked about things, but a lot of that in their lives because they didn't mention all the names in Walden County.
Right.
You got the Christians, they KKK member. Over there, Gradis, you got a man named Vivian Allen. He probably old enough to be there, but he don't talk about it. But he married, these people sort of married into a group. Vivian Allen, he married to Neil Jackson's sister, I believe. Ira Breedlove was married to one of his sisters. Harry Brown is married to a Jackson. They all kind of married into the family like that. And I recall when I come back in '93, there was a man named Gary Spink who was to testify against these people for tax evasion. And next thing you know, he was over there on a tractor, and supposedly Neil Jackson found a tractor on top of it with a bush hog run over. But this man been doing farm work all his life. He knows better what to do and nothing like that. You have Miller out there, graduate. He lived right next to Robert Mitchell and everything. He was a member because I always used to work for Robert Mitchell, and people would talk about who's members of the KKK and everything. They get together. Neil Jackson's still a member. He claims he ain't, but he is and everything. You've got a lot of members here, and now they're getting quiet about it because when I went to that Sergeant Ferguson and gave him the name, in '93 I was talking to Mike Pearson. Mike Pearson was a G.B.R. I made statements to him, and he was trying to arrest Franklin Thornton, just indict Franklin Thornton and Homer Reed for some stuff, and all of a sudden they had heart attacks and died. Palmer, they involved Lamar Palmer. He runs in that group and everything, but had nobody told me he was there, but I remember him at the meeting with the plans.
So you gave your documentation to Mr. Ferguson, to Sergeant Ferguson?
Right, here lately, the last 8 years, but back in '93 and '94, I went to a Mike Pearson.
Did you keep a copy of your documentation?
No. I had a lot of paperwork in my trailer, and when I sold it, they told me to get off the property. They went over there and took a lot of stuff. But
if we need to reach you, what's the best way to reach you?
Probably Mr. Howard. I'll stay in touch with him. I got a phone number, but they still monitor my calls.
Gotcha. So Mr. Howard knows how to reach you.
Yeah, I will make sure him.
Okay. And When was the last time that you went to a Klan meeting? How many years were you going to Klan meetings?
I remember that one time I went, nothing, but when I lived out there, Gratis store,
Yeah.
there was a guy there that was always putting things together named Montgomery. And his first name, I can't think of his first name right now. But he was always instigating stuff and talking about what they're going to do. And they even got together when Obama was running for office, president. They were talking about hiring a hitman. They got on the computer and having it killed. And Vivian Allen was always standing down there and talking to them. You had a Hernan, a plumber, that would always sit and talk to that group. There are a bunch of them, I didn't know the names, I didn't know the faces, but they have them, sometimes they have a meeting out there in the parking lot. They all sit around and drink beer and talk about what they're going to do. Sometimes they go to a Emmerich house. Like you go past Gratis store, the back way to Athens, there was an Emmerich live out there in the White House. On the left, he owned the farm. They go out there, his sons and everything, have a meeting right now. They say it's a party, but they all go out there and have a meeting, talk about what they're going to do. And when they found out that I was talking, so I guess Alan Cook, the DA, was trying to find out who knew about it and everything like that. And evidently, my attorney told somebody or told him. Because next thing I know, everybody in Walden County knew I was the one that knew about the KKK, who's alive. And people try to bribe me. I've been to prison, a detention center, and they offered me money. Robert Mitchell offered me $250,000 to keep my mouth shut and walk away in '99. I told him I wouldn't do it. He said, "You'll be dead before you ever testify." And there was a witness there named Larry Cole that I was at his house on Bryan Road when he called me. I got out of the detention center that night, and it wasn't an hour later, Robert Mitchell called me and told me that. And you just got Al Yarborough, he's a member of it. Most of the police, their families, their daddies, members, Mike Burt, nothing knew about it years ago. And his family, you got Shay. All these groups, they never did really talk about it, but other people talk about who were members and nothing like that around here.
Right. Is there anything else? Is there anybody who claimed to have a weapon that was involved in the?
They don't talk about no weapons. Most of them around here, Charlie Pepper still got an old shotgun, I think. But even that house over there, Gratis, that they went over there near, the house belonged to Harry Arnold Jr. Terry Briscoe claimed he called the FBI. I was the one that called the FBI and told him about the house. Because he walked away, he had a bunch of guns. The Briscoes was involved. He had a bunch of, Glenn Briscoe had a sawed-off shotgun, and he never would go into detail. He said there's a reason he kept it all the years, and he kept it hid. I don't know where he got it or who ended up got it now. But like I said, my uncle got a shotgun about like that. You got a group. I worked at John Manville. I worked at Leggett and Platt. A lot of the white people that were members, because they always hated black people, they get talking about it. And they all had a sawed-off shotgun. Most of them did. But the old shotguns, I had some old pistols and everything I got rid of all of them. But the old timers, the shotgun, most of them kept them, but they all pawned them. Because the old shotguns, they don't have no serial number on it and everything like that, so they can sell it to what they want to, and you can't trace them down. But Robert Mitchell used to have some old shotgun, but he traded with, back and forth to people. And I'll tell you somebody that might have, Ben Dinwiddie, the teacher over there in Social Circle. He used to be a gunsmith in Monroe. That man that runs that hardware store in Social Circle, old man, he about 92 years old. I don't know if he's still alive or not. He used to talk about it. When I go in there, yeah, yeah. But
So Mr. Wiley used to talk about the Morris Ford lynching?
He'd get to talk about the man that talking about it need to keep his mouth shut every time I went in the store. The Malcolms, they was involved. You got another man, possible he's still alive. That's Curtis McDougal, but he's about 92 or 93 years old, I think. And he's supposed to be in a nursing home in Atlanta. And you got the Griffin, which is Curtis was married to Ruth McDougal, and she dead. But Ruth McDougal's mother was alive, her name was Griffin. And her husband was a member of it, because I used to go over there and sit around there and talk about it. She had his suit and that thing, what's called chest-like thing. And she gave it to a boy or a man named Greg Kinney. He had the Duke's outfit. And I saw it in 98.
Had whose outfit?
The Grand
Wizards.
Gotcha. Because this was in 99 when I got out of detention center. I went to live with this woman down there, and it was his brother that had the suit. And Mr. Griffin was his stepson, and he inherited that thing. And he had it out 2 or 3 times, holding it up, looking at it, nothing. And then you had a man, Steve Peters, used to be. I don't know if he got at it. He was a member because he had the book back in December. And I kept telling Sergeant Ferguson that he had the book with all the information, all the names in it. And he gave it to a man named Randy Watkins. And they would hang around the store there and everything. But Sergeant Ferguson went back and told these people what I was doing. And Randy Watkins supposedly gave it to his son, who works at, I believe, the funeral home down here. His name is Tim, I believe. He's supposed to be the coroner or do the fixing the body up, that thing. But he's a Watkins.
Mr. Watson, I wrote down the names. I was trying to capture the names of the people who you said were still alive. I just want to make sure. I want to read these back to you and make sure that I got them. I got Roy Hester, Lloyd Harris, Chester Harris, Glenn Briscoe.
Glenn Briscoe, David.
David Briscoe.
No, he's dead.
Glenn's dead.
Okay. Jack Smith.
He's dead.
Earl Royster.
He's alive.
Harry Brown.
He's alive.
Curtis McDougal.
He should be alive. Last I heard, he was in a nursing home in Atlanta.
What about Judge Sackrell, was his last name? Sorrell. He's
still alive, as far as I know now. He might have passed away. No, he just resigned. But
okay.
He's a member.
George Hearns.
He's still around.
Harry Arnold.
Junior's around. Senior, I think. Senior passed away, didn't he?
I don't know. There is a Harry Arnold, one of the wealthiest white men in this
county. Yeah, Harry Arnold might be still alive.
I don't know if he's junior, senior, or not. He's junior. So he's a
senior dead.
I don't know.
Yeah, senior dead. Junior, he's still alive.
And Junior, is he old enough to have been there? You think he was there?
Yes, I think he is.
And Neil Jackson.
Yeah.
Jimmy Davis.
Jimmy Davis is alive for sure.
And Junior Parker.
Junior Parker's alive.
Okay. Then there was a Baker, but it didn't have a first name.
Baker. George Baker. George Baker is dead, but George Baker Jr. is still alive. Everybody, when they passed away, they passed on everything to the kids. The books, everything goes to the kids. They automatically make a decision whether to be a member or not a member. But these people right here, back when I went forward, all of them was alive.
Remember you was talking about this book? You said you had notes and documents, but you gave it to somebody.
I gave it to Sergeant Ferguson.
He's still alive?
He's a young man, but he's supposed to be working for the city. I filed paperwork against him.
He was the one that told them what you were doing.
Yeah.
He's got the book. He took the book.
No, Jack Peters works in Peters Groceries. He the one had to put book. Steve
book.
Peters. Steve,
No,
Steve.
Your book.
Oh, I wrote it on
your
paper.
book?
I gave it to Sergeant Ferguson. That thing.
That's the one where you had detailed documentation.
Yeah, I wrote things down. And some of it I left it at home, and I went off and left it, and I know everything gone now because I went in there one day. I sold the place, and it was a trailer, and I went in there, and all the stuff, people done went through and got everything they wanted.
Not the rest of the stuff in your house, but the book you had Ferguson.
Your papers you gave to Ferguson.
I gave some of the paper to Ferguson.
And is he still on the force here?
They say he resigned. He's supposed to be working for the city, but I don't really know what they're doing because he says he's making more money now than he did before. And I knew about the lynch and everything. I was always going over there talking to him. He kept telling me to keep my mouth shut. There's another man runs a washateer. He drives a blue Cadillac. I remember him because when I left Ferguson's house, I can't think of his name, but he's old enough to be there. But I seen that little emblem. He's a veteran, but the KKK carried that little paper with an emblem like a marksmanship badge in their wallet, and that signified they was a member of the KKK also. And the military used it too, saying you're a veteran, but the KKK used it too on the little car.
And what does this case bother you so much? I mean, you've had a lot of people ask you to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Why do you stay interested in it?
Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of when you go through life, you living with lies or you living with people talking about things. A kid, and back in '92, I went through a divorce. My daughter got molested. My ex-wife, she started going back fooling with drugs and everything. And I come back down here. I worked with the TPI up there in Tennessee. They finally caught the people. And I come back to Georgia, and they got to talk about the same old thing. They got to talk about my uncle got to talk about the mowers forward and them cutting the baby. And I started telling them I was dating an African-American woman. All my kin people disowned me. They told me not to ever come around them again. Said, we'll kill you. Said, if you ever bring that woman to our house, we'll kill her. And I said, well, I'll put a stop to this. And I started spending my own money and everything. I worked. I went around to people, listened to what they got to say. The drugs, I went to, people don't realize the local drug people like Mike Burt, and there was a Wolf, Randy Wolf used to be an investigator over there in Sparrow County. I went to him with drug information. None of the people never got busted. The Connors, Phil Connors never did get busted for drugs. None of them did. I went to the man's unit over there in Barrow County and talked to them. Everybody started getting busted for the drugs. I went to East Metro here in 95 or 96, and they got the Blackwells, all them. And Keith Glass tried to take control of that claim. He brought them in. I was the one that went to East Metro. I met with Chris Cannon. In 97 or 98, I got set up. I got charged with a criminal trespass. I made bond. A friend of mine made bond for me, which was $65. I had the ticket, criminal trespassing. When I told them to come get me, I said, they're going to come up with something. Next thing I know, he come pick me up. They turned around, locked me up, shipped me to Barrow County. I stayed down there in Barrow County for, I don't know, about 4 months. They claimed they had a bench warrant. I was shackled, handcuffed to a drain in the floor, naked. Had to eat like a dog. They went in there with a fire thing, washed me off all day. The only day I could make calls is when these rookies come in, like at 5 o'clock in the morning. They'd let me slip and make a call, and I called Robert Mitchell. They finally got me out where I could have a hearing.
And Keith Glass, the one that you mentioned, was the chief of police, and he was also in the Klan. Right.
He took over, yeah, he was the keeper police. His daddy was the keeper Klan member.
So Are you motivated by your conscience, or are you motivated by what they've done to you because of this girl you was talking to?
I want it all over with. The racism, I mean, I've been on the street and, you know, I told people I dated a black woman and everything, and you can't get nothing. A white man goes around here and says he's dating a black woman or hang around black people. You can't get no loan, you can't go to no bank, borrow money or nothing. They turn you down. And they make it excuses, but the money people right here, Robert Mitchell, Neil Jackson, Harry Arnold Jr., they own just about everything around here. And they still find out about that. You can't get no help around here.
Could I ask you, how old are you right now?
I'm 55.
55. And when this happened, how old were you?
I wasn't born. You talking about the Morris forward, right?
Okay. And the baby that was cut out and given for adoption, did anyone ever say who adopted the baby, where they sent the baby?
They took the baby to Atlanta. That's what my uncle told me. All the years, I remember every time I talked to him, he always said they cut the baby out, washed it off in the creek. Somebody took it to Atlanta. See, I got a daddy that was older than Charlie, but he died in prison when I was 4 years old or something, Tim Watson. So he was mean enough because he was racist. He beat on my mama. I know that. So all these people live right around there, Morris Ford area. My uncle them did.
So you don't, because now I'm kind of confused. I just want to be clear. You don't think that the baby was killed when they killed
No,
it?
they cut the baby out. I said the same thing. I told my uncle, I said, the woman wasn't even pregnant and everything, and the baby was killed. He cussed me, called me every name in the book. He said, don't call me a freaking liar, but he used the cuss word. He said, they cut the baby out. They washed it off in the creek and gave it to somebody, and they took it supposedly to Atlanta. He said, I'm not sure if they took it to Atlanta. All I know, they were supposed to take it to Atlanta.
And your uncle, his point was that he was there and he saw
That's
them
right.
do this.
That's right.
What was your uncle's name again?
Charlie Pepper.
Right, that's the point I got.
Now, there's another Charlie Pepper that one lived in Wine. This man right here lived on Double Spring Road, I believe, like north toward the reservoir on the left. And he got coon dogs.
All right, so let's go through some of these folks. The ones who are alive, he's going to tell you the name, and you tell us if you know anything about where they live, where they work, where we can find them. All right.
Roy Hester?
I think he still lives on Hestertown Road over here, don't he?
There's a lot of Hesters out there, Hestertown. Big family of them.
Yeah, well,
But Roy Hester would be about 80 in his late 80s or early 90s.
Yeah.
All right.
Lloyd Harris?
Lower Harris dead.
Okay.
Is that
Chester
Harrison?
Harris.
Chester Harris. I'm not. Is that one they got? One they call Claude. You got Claude Harris?
No, Claude it is.
Yeah. Claude's still alive, as far as I know.
And where does say Claude Harrison or Harrison?
Harris.
And Claude Harris
Lives in Bethlehem, supposed to.
Okay.
George Baker?
George Baker dead.
George Baker Jr., rather. I'm sorry.
George Baker Jr., I think he's over one of the banks and everything. He's still around.
Bank here in Monroe?
He's in Monroe. George Baker Jr. in Monroe.
Jack Smith?
He's dead. Little Jack is still alive, so.
I need to put the juniors in here. Jack Smith Jr., rather.
He lived going towards Social Circle. There's a road right before you get to the bridge. You take a right. He got a farm right down your left. I know where it's at, but.
Harry Brown?
Harry Brown, I know where the filling station is, that Brown Oil Company. I see him every day. He's alive.
Curtis McDougal?
Curtis McDougal supposed to be in Atlanta. He was with his sister. He's supposed to be in a nursing home. You can go down there and talk to Shirley Richardson down there at Johnson Mobile Home Park, and she'll tell you which nursing home he's in.
Judge Sorrell?
Judge Sorrell is supposed to be still alive.
Where does he live?
He used to live, when you go into town, the first, second red light, you take a right to,
Is it by
Yeah,
the
second
utility
red light.
building?
Yeah, you take a right, go back down on the left. He did live right
So
there.
he's still right in Monroe?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
George Hearns,
George Hunter's still alive.
you know where?
He's from Monroe. I don't know exactly where he lives.
Harry Arnold,
Junior's still alive. Seniors, I think senior did.
Neil Jackson,
He's alive.
But where does he live? That's all for.
Neil Jackson live out there. You go to Campton, you take a right, and you stay on that road. You see, you go about 3 miles, you see a white fence and everything. He's got a little white house right down the right.
All right. So he's in the town of Campton.
He what?
Which town? Is it?
Campton.
Campton.
But he got Neil Jackson Realty. He's the man
Okay.
right there.
Jimmy Davis,
Jimmy Davis, he's supposed to be live over there near the bridge, but he got that works at that pawn shop in Madison.
and then Junior Parker.
Junior Parker live in Campton. You go to Campton, you take a left, and you go about 3 miles, and you'll see there'll be one house here that was Arnie Parker lived. There's another house there that was Andy Abode lived, and then Junior got about the third or fourth house.
So Kevin, how many people do we have who are still alive?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
All right. It sounds like there's some work for the FBI to do. All right. Well,
ask him a question.
sure, and then let's wrap
Do
up.
you know Roy Holder?
Holder's still alive. I've seen him around, and I had never really talked to him, nothing like that. But he's associated with Neil Jackson, Robert Mitchell. They all buddy.
And Roy Holder, do you know that he was there? Have you heard he was
I
there?
can't say because this group, they just talk among themselves.
But the rest of the folks who we went through, those are folks that you've heard were there on the bridge.
Right. Now, there's a Bill Shea and a John Shea. John Shea is a junior, and he would always go to those meetings over there at Gratis with those boys over there.
The
He used to,
Klan meetings.
right. Vivian Allen's still alive now. He's old enough to be there.
I see.
But I had never heard.
Right, but again, the rest of the folks, these folks who you heard were there.
Yeah.
It's enough for something to be down here.
Right.
Let me ask you also, did anyone else other than your uncle describe what happened on the bridge?
Well, he the only one I went around, but when I was a kid, when everybody walking around in the yard, Bob Lewis, he was there and everything like that, but they all used to laugh and make fun of Earl Royster, all of them did when I was growing up.
And did you talk to any blacks that may have been hiding and witnessed it or
The
talked
Blackwell,
about it?
see, that's something else. The Blackwell lived over there next to it when it took place. But I was told that's the reason they become the biggest drug dealers in Walden County, because they knew information and they hid it. So the Blackwell, the police kept them, letting them do what they would do all the years. So the Blackwells now, they scared, and there's a Dexter Blackwell, he tried to claim he knew everything. But what he did, Sergeant Ferguson went to him and told him, because they was in jail, and each one of them got out of jail early because they knew supposedly the name, and I was the one that knew the name, but Sergeant Ferguson went and told them who it was, so they could cut a deal and get out of prison. So they crooked.
Gotcha.
Do you know of any Whiteheads or Palmers?
Yeah, Whitehead's still alive now. There's a Whitehead. He lives out there, Watkinsville. I mean.
But do you know that he was involved?
Yeah, because I won't forget, I used to play these slot machines. And if he's still alive, I can't think of his first name, but I go to Statham to play those slot machines. He used to come over there, and he told me he just got out of prison. That one just got out of prison. He served time for murdering somebody, but he got out. And he talked about he regretted everything he done and everything like that. And that was still something he needed to take care of. So I don't know if he's still alive or not.
But he talked about being involved in the
He was a
Morse
member of the KKK. I knew that from years ago.
But was he involved in the Morse Ford?
I can't say for sure because he never did come out.
What about the Malcolms?
The Malcolms, my uncle hung around them, that thing. That one
Saying
man.
Charlie Pepper hung around them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He could go hunting over there on that land.
And did you ever hear of any of the Malcolms being involved in this?
They were supposed to be involved.
Okay. All right. Is Jack Malcolm the one that's still alive? Did you have it on your list?
One of them died. One of them died.
Who is that again?
The Malcolms.
They're the brothers. They're two. Well, they might be dead now because one of them died. I saw one at the post office right after I met with you. He told me I better keep my mouth shut.
But Mr. Howard, you said that you were focused on the Malcolms. Which Malcolms are you focused on?
Ralph now.
Ralph?
One of them died. That might be, one of them still alive, one of them supposed to be dead.
All right. But
you... one of them told me I better keep my mouth shut right after I met with Mr. Howard.
I got you. And from your understanding, the Malcolms were involved.
Right.
All right. All right. All right. I think we got an exhaustive list. As exhaustive as we're going to get. So, sir, thank you very much. I'm going to.
But when I get my head together, I can live my life.